Welcome everybody to the Fujifilm Christmas live stream special.
Yes, welcome to our Fujifilm Christmas special live stream. My name is Warwick Williams. Oh, sorry, Santa. And as usual, I'll be joined by my colleagues Will Anlazark and Neil Pash.
Hello, everybody. Hello, thank you, Warwick.
Hey, everyone.
And in this live stream, we'll be giving our spin on photographing the festive season. Tonight is going to be a little bit different. It's the end of a tough year, and as you can tell by our dress, we'll be a little less formal than usual. As I said, we'll be sharing our photo tips for capturing those special moments with family and friends through the festive season. And throughout this evening, we'll also be sharing with you the winners of our Christmas photo competition. Yes, I hope you've all been dutifully snapping away, because we'll be giving away 5 fabulous XP140 tough cameras, and one lucky entrant will win Fujifilm's latest X series camera, the incredible XS10. So stay tuned. It could be you. In fact, why wait? Let's cross back to Neil, who will announce not 1, but 2 winners.
That's right, lovely folks. I have, once I realize how to fully share my screen, I have a couple of prizes to give away. Okay, here we are. The Fujifilm Christmas photo competition. We are starting with some runner-up prizes. So our first runner-up prize goes to Sam Deaton. Congratulations, Sam. Well done. Everyone give him a round of applause. Woo! Good job. That's an epic photo, epic moment.
It's so cool.
Well, is that snowboarding or skiing?
It is definitely skiing. It is not snowboarding, but it is Santa on a pair of skis. I'm not sure where, but I'm sure we'll find out because there'll be some information with this photo.
So the story behind the shot that Sam shared was that this was taken a few years ago in Canada. His friend Sammy and I went out on a Christmas morning to ski in Santa costumes. One of my fondest festive memories. Taken with my trusty X-T2 and 16-55 f2.8. This shot is a part of a burst that I made into a GIF where the snow shoots all over me and the camera. Certainly a Christmas I will never forget. That sounds amazing, dude. I can only imagine the amazing GIF. It's a really well composed shot as well, though. I really like the way it's been set up, the angle of the skier. There's been some thought put into that, which is wonderful to see.
Awesome.
Although I would like to see Warwick skiing down the slopes in his outfit. I'm not sure if you can see where he'd be going.
Water ski in this outfit. I don't know about
water ski in that outfit. Excellent. Hopefully I won't have to pay much to see that. Okay, now on to our next runner-up. We have Chloe Ireland. Congratulations, Chloe. Well done.
Awesome.
I reckon these are two actors getting married. The look on their faces is priceless, really. And those Santas are incredible. So what do you think, Will?
Yeah, it's a really cool image. It's nice just seeing sort of a moment. When are you ever going to get that many Santas together all in one image on your wedding day? It's perfect. And being able to coerce them, I don't think they actually would have needed too much coercing, but to hop in a photo with the bride and groom, it's awesome. So fantastic.
You could only have a good time with that many Santas there.
100%.
That's so true. I want to know what's with the guy in the back with he's got a floral sort of palm trees shirt. It's a nice shirt. Maybe it was too hot.
Yeah.
And so there was quite a story behind this shot, which really helps frame the moment. So Chloe wrote, "Never did I expect an average day photographing a wedding would produce such Christmassy chaos. This serendipitous moment came to life when my bride and groom wandered over to the well-landscaped roundabout next to their venue one weekend in December. After we'd taken a few photos, we heard some cheering, which is not unusual when folks see a bridal party. Then the cheers continued and got louder. A maxi taxi was circling us, until finally pulling up and unloading a jolly amount of ragtag Santas on their way to their work Christmas party." I wonder what kind of work Christmas party is it? It's how do I
It's a
join
Christmas one. It's a Christmas party, Neil.
Christmas party. So they stormed our photo session and the couple completely embraced it. The joy of a wedding, the celebration of Christmas, and the looks of confusion and hilarity when those two things collide. That's what makes this my favorite festive photo. This couple threw an 80s themed wedding, so I used a diffusion filter to make their images reminiscent of an older aesthetic. I also employed the photography technique of high-speed continuous shooting and a quick shutter speed because those Santas were on the move. And it certainly looks that way. This guy in the front is ready to bolt to another photo opportunity. And before we get into the next runner-up prize, Will, I believe you have prepared some photo tips for us.
Yeah, just a couple. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen with you all. One moment, sorry. There we go. Share screen. Your entire screen share. There we go. Fantastic. So I'm going to talk you through some cool effects that we can do at the moment. This one is done by cutting out some different shaped bokeh by cutting out some colorful cardboard. So I'll talk you through how to do that right now, actually. Just got to start my video again. Bear with me. Okay, so we're going to need a few items from your local Officeworks. So first we have a camera. We're going to cut out some cardboard to wrap around the camera, like so. Similar shape to this, covering the whole front of the lens. Then we're going to cut out a different shape. So what we can do is put our lens down face first and draw a line around it with a pen and paper. We're then going to cut around it and cut a shape into it that reveals whatever you want to make the bokeh look like. And then we're going to finish it up with some lovely tape. So we end up with a masterpiece like this. Absolutely fantastic. Now what this will give us is what we saw before, but I'm going to share my screen again and we've got a couple more images similar to this. Fantastic. So here's one we did with that love heart that we made before. And then we made one a bit more Christmassy. So we did one here with a Christmas cutout for some Christmas trees. With this image, I used my iPhone here to light from above, and we were able to fill some of this foreground subject in. So I took a camera, so we did have a foreground subject. So when we had our background, which was obviously some Christmas lights, we're hanging out the front of our next door neighbor's house, taking some photos at night, just to get something with a bit of depth for this. So you need some distance between your foreground and your background object to make this image work. The next tip I have for Christmas is when you have all the family around, you tend to want to get a big group shot of everyone who's with you on the day. So usually you kind of do this, you pair everyone together, you get them all organized, but something you don't think about so much is light. So backlighting is what I'm going to talk about here. And we can see with this picture that I've taken, it's a bride and a groom. The sun is directly off the back of their heads here, and that's quite deliberate. So we picked the setting, we've moved the couple into the area that we need, and I've just asked them to walk towards us. But it's the same with a family photo. You prepare them where you need to go, and then you line them all up. So the sun at their backs ideally, and what this produces is a really light and airy image because we're going to expose for their faces, not for what the background is. So by doing this, usually the faces are quite dark when you initially have it, and you brighten up your exposure for what the face is meant to be. So that's my second tip. With any of these family photos at Christmas, try and use backlighting. Even in the middle of the day, you can get it so the sun is just slightly to the back and behind them. Try not to get the raccoon eyes. And then lastly, I'm going to have a bit of a tip. We're going to switch off this for 1 second, and I'm going to come back to Zoom. Stop sharing my screen and start my video again. Bear with me. Cool, and here we are. And the last tip is actually on our XS10 that we have here. So with the XS10, we have our Q menu. So the Q menu is actually on top on the XS10. I can see it up here. But on most of our other cameras, you'll find it near your right thumb. If we hold that for 3 seconds, it's the quickest way to get to your Q menu, and you'll be able to see that there. So the Q menu is all the settings that you need quickly on any sort of day, hence Q, meaning quick. We can get to this and we can pull it up for whatever we need. Now, what I would suggest around Christmas is your film simulations that you're sort of going to want to work with. You can also set it to other things such as face detect, because on the day you want it to be able to pick up whatever faces sort of come into the frame. And then lastly, you could sort of go through your focusing modes, or you could even go to self-timer. Self-timer is a really important one on Christmas Day because obviously you want to get in some of the photos, not just taking all of them. So it's a fantastic option to have nice and quickly. So with all of that, I believe we're going to a few more winners with Neil Pash. Neil, are you there?
Yes, but I'm eating some festive chocolate.
I got you.
It got me. But before we do, let's get something out of the way. Is Fujifilm going to make a full frame camera?
Nope. It's a very short answer, isn't it? Right now, we are heavily invested in crop and medium format, and we believe they're the future. There is a very cramped market with full frame, and we see better alternatives being in medium format and crop. Crop does everything we need and brings down size and weight perfectly.
Why do you need full frame when you have X-trans? If you want more than full frame, then you have our medium format. Simple as that.
Yeah, perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself, Woz.
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add to that. The XS10 is kind of a testament to that. It's super compact and it does everything I need it to do. Professional. I could use this professionally. It's great results. Yeah, so let's hop over and share a couple more winners, shall we?
Now, I have to explain, I did shave just in that brief session there.
Oh my goodness. Okay, at the third runner-up prize of the XP140 camera goes to Alan Ma. Congratulations, Alan. Well done. Well done.
It's amazing.
That is such a wonderful candid shot.
Yeah, candid. It looks like we're in the middle of a studio, but it's just gorgeous. The actual expressions from the kids is great, and it's something nice. I wished I had something, well, like as a kid growing up, I wish I had a set of these images going through the years. Just each Christmas, it would be amazing.
For sure, yeah. And Alan wrote about this, in fact, that he did set up a small studio at home. So Alan wrote, "My new Christmas tradition is to do some studio shots with the kids, who are 4 and 5, which happens to variable success, I am sure. This year, I just let them be silly and shot away with the X Pro 3 and 35mm f1.4 Fujinon lens with off-camera flash and a black backdrop. So nice and simple. Capturing them goofing around and just being so cute is the best. I could submit the proper studio shoot with sharp eyes staring at the camera, but this one captures their mischievous side and real smiles much better than a standard studio portrait. Having a home studio setup is so much fun. Who needs the shopping center Santa anymore? Don't tell that to the guys in the earlier pick. They still need work.
Yeah.
But, no, there's so much value in being able to set up some high quality shots at home and just muck around and get some gems like this.
Some really nice shots of your kids.
The fourth runner-up prize goes to Elaine Duncan. Now, this has to be a personal favorite of mine. Not by default, but because I think it's a great idea.
It's really cute. Anything with this, I would have preferred a small puppy, but everyone's different with their preferences with these things. But it's a gorgeous image, really nice, really timely for this time of year. And I believe I've read the story already for this, but it's gorgeous. I think we should all be doing more for rescue animals.
Yeah, definitely. So Elaine wrote, "This is a rescue kitten looking for his forever home this Christmas, and I was lucky enough to photograph him in a Santa hat to add to his cuteness. I love Christmas and I love kittens, so this seemed like a great idea, and I'm happy with the results. Taken with a XT4 and 16-55 f2.8 lens." Well
Beautiful.
done, Elaine.
Congratulations.
All right. And before we get on to the remainder of the prizes, I have a few tips to share. So, and it's not only about cats, I promise you.
I bet you it is. It's cats.
Yeah.
Christmas cats.
It's mostly about cats, I'll be honest. Okay. So, this one's more about composition and how you angle your shots. So, this was the shot as it came straight out of camera of my boy Alpha, sitting with his front legs folded, with his chin kind of resting on them, which is kind of odd. It looks a bit strange. That's not a very normal cat pose. And he looks a bit concerned by something that's going on. That wasn't me clicking to...
His eyebrow. Where's his right eyebrow gone?
He actually does have... he's got a few of those eyebrow whiskers missing or broken off. So it looks like they're completely gone there. But I promise you they're not quite as prominent as the left ones. But so in this shot, I find the orange object in the background a bit distracting. So for composition, I would tend to try and avoid that. What I did for this shot, I simply cropped it to a portrait 4x5 shot to get rid of that distracting element from the frame. Usually you can simply change your angle a little bit to improve what's behind your subject. But sometimes cropping it can achieve that as well. And during, Will mentioned you could toy with this in Capture One.
Yeah, you could adjust if you wanted to and bring down the oranges in the back. So you could either do this in either Capture One or in Lightroom, just by adjusting a range mask on the orange in the image and reducing it or changing it more toward the tone that is in the foreground of the image with the sort of more beige. So you could bring it down, adjust saturation, adjust the hue, and try and get it to be a bit less intrusive in the image and a bit less distracting if you wanted to keep it in this ratio.
Nice. For the next image, I wanted to show a cicada. So out in the bush at night, there was no light, so I had to make light with my mobile phone. I was really impressed with the amazing range of colors on the cicadas, and these guys were big. They were all coming out of their shells, and this one's wings haven't come out properly yet. But so I simply used my mobile phone. As you can see in the little specular highlights in its eyes, that indicates that the light source is actually coming from above, sort of around the center. You can sort of tell from that reflection what angle the light might be coming in at. So I wanted a shot first to highlight its face, to get up in there nice and close and see a bit of that detail. The texture and lines, I find it really interesting. So rather than simply a well-lit shot showing everything there, I wanted to focus a little bit on specific parts of it. So I could have used more mobile phones to light it from other angles as well, but I wanted to go with that one light to get something a little bit interesting and dramatic. And then I played with the light a bit, and I wanted to move it around and see what the cicada looks like when lit from different angles. You can obviously try this with all sorts of subjects. So for this one, obviously the light source is coming from beneath the cicada, and that's almost making it look like something quite alien. And if I wanted to spend a little bit of time toying around with it to bring it into something a bit more artistic, I could darken the post that it's standing on to make that fade into the background, and maybe bring up the saturation of some of the colors, like the oranges and the reds, well, I guess the greens as well. That's mostly the colors that we're seeing there, but and make it look like something really alien. And this one, I want to talk about how you can use the size of your focus point to nail focus exactly where you need it. When you're shooting with a fast aperture, that becomes especially important. As many of you will know, when you focus on an animal's eye, often the eye a little bit further away will be out of focus. And in this case, I had an object being the mesh fence in front of the subject. So I had to select, I'll just stop screen sharing for a moment. So everyone's probably more or less familiar with this, but pressing in my, how good can we see that? Is that all right?
Ish.
Ish, yeah.
It's a bit bright.
Yeah, it's a bit bright. Fair enough.
Tap on and do it.
Well, that's right. It's a mirrorless camera, so I can just exposure compensation that all the way down. So
much better.
Good. So push in my focus lever and dial it down to a really small size. And by using that smallest size, I can get right in through the mesh fence to focus on the cat's eyeball. Okay. And for the next shot, this is a nice and simple one. I followed little Master Payne outdoors in the morning when we let him out into the yard for him to play. I followed him around with the X100V, and I set it to center metering and made sure I had a fast shutter speed set so that I could capture the little dude running around and get him nice and sharp. So center metering allowed me to not have the background too blown out by his dark fur and not lose too much information in the shadows. Naturally, with the dark colored animal, it can be very hard to get a decent exposure on them. But by using center metering, which in your camera menu is called photometry, I'm able to get as close to a nicely balanced shot as I can. You can see, obviously, in his fur, there's a bit of detail lost in the shadows. But when you see him in real life, yeah, he kind of looks like that. That's kind of how he looks. And I caught him mid-meow. He likes to talk a lot, this little guy. And I believe this is my last shot for this last shot. Now, you may notice he's got 3 legs. He had bone cancer in his front right leg, but it hadn't spread to the rest of his body. So we amputated the leg, and he's been fine for several years since. Lucky little guy. But I shot this with the GFX 50S with the 120mm macro lens. So that allowed me to get a huge amount of detail in his face. And what I did for this shot, I actually shot it in color. But I thought this could look really great in black and white because he's a nice dark colored cat and it's nice bright background. So I converted it to Acros green with the green filter. I actually increased I increased the highlight tone a bit to blow out the background a bit to bring more attention to Master Payne's fur and his face. And I also increased the shadow tone a tiny bit just to make the image a bit more contrasty and to make his fur look a bit more natural as what it looks like in real life. I do have one more photo, the dog photo. Yes. So I wanted to get a photo of the dog on in one of her favorite spots to sit and get some morning sun. There was, because of the harsh angle of the sun, I wanted to make sure her face wasn't creating too many shadows. So I got her attention a little bit to the right-hand side. And so got her looking over there. And you can see she's looking very pleased with herself, stretching out there on the ground and, yeah, getting some nice sun in the morning. I felt the fly was a bit distracting. So I removed that after I took the shot.
We're back.
Thanks, guys. Okay, we will ask another question.
There was a few that have come up, actually.
Yeah, before we get on to the final XP140 winner, what's a camera setting that you use that other people don't seem to use very often?
So I've got one. I think I might go first, and if Warwick could possibly bring up his camera options.
Okay.
That he's got in available. Could you put one of your cameras up on the screen, Ross?
I can do that by the sheer power of technology.
Oh, how fantastic. That's great. There we go. All right, cool. So a setting that I use a lot is actually called preview exposure and white balance. Now, a lot of people might not use this feature too much, but if you use flash a lot, or you are a landscape photographer who works mainly in astro or landscapes at night, you may need to use this. So, Woz, if you can hold display back for me for 3 seconds. So if anyone didn't know, by holding display back for 3 seconds, it brings up all your function buttons very quickly. So we can change any single one of these function buttons. So I tend to put this on my index finger at the front. So Woz, if you could bring up that button there. Yep. So this is a function button right next to your lens. So Woz has already got this set, but he had it preset before we even went in. So right here on the top, we have preview exposure and white balance in manual mode. Now, if we can turn that on, Woz, press that. Okay, now take us out of this menu. Go back to shooting. Fantastic. So if you can, we're already on 5.6, so he's already got this feature turned on. Can you hit that front button for me, Woz? Hit it again. There we go. So that's what the scene would look like if we're at F14. So this is what we call is what you see is what you get. So these exact settings, if he was to take a photo right now, would be pretty much pitch black aside from that little bit of blue down in the bottom right corner. But let's say we were using a flash, for example, the flash isn't going to show exactly what we're taking at this exact time. So we still need to frame and compose what we're doing. So Warwick, if you can hit that button, now we can see what we're doing. The camera can autofocus off that. So we can work with what we can actually see. And then we can button back again if we really need to see what the ambient of the image will look like. So when you're working with flash, a lot of the time you want to know what your ambient looks like before you take the photo. That will give you your ambient. And then the other option there will let you see what you're actually composing. This is a feature I use quite a lot, especially for weddings, events, anything where you've got a speed light on top of the camera.
Oh, no, sorry to interrupt you, Will. I'm just noticing in the chat, we're not seeing Warwick's screen.
Why are we not seeing Warwick's screen?
Yeah. Oh.
Interesting.
How about now? I'm seeing it, even though Will's talking. So maybe that's good.
Maybe that is good. Hopefully we can see what's going on. If not, if we're still seeing what I'm doing, I can show you right now off this camera. So let's darken it up. I'm going to hold display back for 3 seconds on this camera right now. So that brings us up to our settings. So we're now in our function buttons. First option here we have is, let's quickly change it to preview exposure and white balance. It's one of the first settings that you'll have there. And essentially it's what I said before. You are using that setting to brighten up your entire screen and be able to see what you are doing at any point in time, even if you're using flash. I don't know what's going on, Warwick, why they can't see your screen, but that's okay. We can stop sharing it now.
Is that?
I am able to see it on your screen now, Woz. It's coming up.
I bet it probably needs Warwick talking through it, actually.
Okay.
Interesting. That's okay. Warwick, you can have your tip next, which will allow you to sort of bring up this setting anyway.
All right. Well, my tip is something I'm often asked about when people are using our cameras is that why does the focus point often head down to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen? One of the reasons is if you've got the touch screen on, you can get various things happening. So if you actually touch the bottom corner of the screen with your nose, for instance, that's where the focus point goes. So what I tend to do is switch off the touch screen for shooting purposes. Now, the other reason why your focus point might move around is because of your focus lever. Now, if you've noticed that the factory default settings for the focus lever are in fact, come up, factory default settings, is this one, it says on. Now, what that means is anytime you move the focus lever, it relocates the focus point. Now, if you actually press and hold the focus lever, you can move that to the push to unlock option. And what that means is, and I'm pushing the focus lever now, nothing's happening. And that's because to change its position, I now have to push it in and then move it around. In fact, if you double press it, it just goes straight back to the middle, and then you can move it around, change its size, do whatever you like. But it does prevent you, when you've set your point, from accidentally bumping the focus lever and moving that focus point to where you don't want it when you've got the camera switched on. So that's my tip for that particular thing. There you go. So,
Thanks, Waz.
okay.
My tip is it's another shortcut on the camera, which works for many Fujifilm cameras. And that shortcut is to quickly access the menu for formatting cards. So maybe
I can do this again, can I?
Warwick, you can talk through it if you're going to sort of bring it up, because
Warwick,
otherwise
do you want to talk through it?
Okay, well, I'll just have to swap that one. So, well, I know what you're going to say, because
actually, how about I can talk through it, because you kind of need to see the back of the camera for this one. So I'll show you up here. So I've got what you do is you hold down the button for deleting photos. So you switch the camera on, hold down the button for deleting photos for about 3 seconds, and then push in the rear command dial. So 1, 2, 3, push in the rear dial, and it's now asking me format OK, erase all data. So that's a quick way to access the format menu rather than going into the menu. So before a shoot, or before you go on holidays, or before you have a big family event, for example, at Christmas, it's a good idea to format the cards once you've backed up everything, and that's a nice quick way to do it. So just to recap that, you press the button for deleting pictures, and then after 3 seconds, push in the rear command dial, and there you go. And so we have one final XP140 winner. So I will swap over to that one moment. The cats are really tearing things up here. The final runner-up prize. Oh dear. Presentation.
Technical support.
Congratulations, Alan. Alan's actually watching the stream. Thanks for joining, Alan. Okay, the final XP140 runner-up prize goes to Patricia Castan. Well done, Patricia. Woo!
Congratulations.
A lovely image. I think this highlights many people's Christmas Day or Christmas Eve experience, having food with friends and family.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing says Christmas more like plastic red sheets over the picnic tables. But it's a beautiful image, very filmic, very nostalgic. It's gorgeous.
For sure. In fact, this was actually taken on an analog film camera. So fantastic. Patricia wrote, in recent years, spending Christmas with friends has become just as important as spending Christmas with family. Friends are the family you choose. This image represents everything I love about Christmas, bringing people together over food. So she shot this on a rangefinder camera. So that's an analog film camera around golden hour, her favorite time of the day.
Awesome.
Congrats, Patricia. Well done, everybody.
Congratulations.
And now first place prize, but first, and let's, to tease you a bit more, go over to Warwick. I believe you have some photo tips for us.
Oh, my Christmas photo tips.
Waz's Christmas photo tips.
And I'll have to swap screens around again. Is that working?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on.
Just
Okay.
want to say, if you
Yeah.
do have any questions, be sure to ask them and we'll get to them towards the end.
Okie dokie. So my tips. Well, mine I consider more practical. I always take a camera with me to Christmas visits, and it's if you're doing that, it's a good idea to be prepared. Many of the time, I've seen people at various Christmas parties and they have not prepared, and it's not that difficult. So be photo ready for Christmas Day. Even if you're staying at home, ensure your camera is ready to go, especially if you have children eager to see what Santa's brought them. And of course, they get up really early in the morning. You don't want to suddenly have to find that you need to charge your battery at 5 a.m. Now, things to do before Christmas Day. First up, decide what camera and lens combination you're going to be using. Ensure your camera batteries are charged. This is the big one. I'm not kidding. I can't believe how many times I've been to Christmas parties where people's batteries have run out. And not at the end of the night. Ensure existing images on your memory card have been backed up. That's always important. And of course, ensure your memory card has sufficient space for your photo activities on Christmas Day. Remember your flash unit and its batteries if you're going to be using those. Don't just remember your camera batteries. Make sure you've got your flash batteries too. And remember your tripod. You've got to take a photo of everyone. And the person with the camera always ends up having to do that. So make sure you're in it and learn how to use your self-timer mode too. Remember your waterproof camera if your destination includes a beach or a pool. An XP140 is perfect for that. And if you're traveling, even if you're just traveling for Christmas Day, pack your camera gear into a carry bag the day before. That way, it's easy to grab on the way out. You're not running around trying to find bits and pieces just before you go. Other things, know how to set your camera up, for indoor shots and outdoor shots. Yes, when tripod mounted, know how to operate your self-timer. And why not practice before the big day? Don't, start working out how you're going to do things on the day. Decide if you're going to shoot RAW or JPEG. You might not have a big enough card to shoot everything in RAW, and maybe you just want to shoot the big family pictures in RAW or just the pictures you consider important. You probably don't want to spend hours post-processing thousands of RAW pictures. And of course, if you're shooting video or even vlogging, decide what microphone and lighting is appropriate. And of course, you're going to have to make sure you've got plenty of storage space and make sure you've got plenty of memory cards because video takes up a lot more room. Now, on the actual day itself, you're going to be shooting pictures of various things. Now, Christmas is a bright, colorful time, so you could go for a nice, bright, colorful film simulation like Velvia. It's very simple. You press the menu button. In the image quality section of your camera, you'll go down and see film simulation. So you can go straight to the Velvia option, and that will give you a more enriched color. You can even enhance that by using some of the other settings to enrich that color even further. So these are the film simulations that are currently available. Not all cameras have all of them. Certainly if you're lucky enough to have X-T4, XS10 or the later cameras, you'll have all of these. But most of them are available on most of our cameras, even the older ones. And of course, there's the Velvia one right there if you want to ramp up the color a little bit. Perhaps you want to capture a more classic tone of the old 70s or 80s and use the classic chrome setting or the classic neg setting, or perhaps even go straight for a beautiful black and white setting, which I think the Acros is just brilliant for that. As I said, you can actually enhance the colors further. In this particular picture, we've used the Color Chrome Effects Blue. Now that actually increases the blues in the picture. Now there's another setting there called the Color Chrome Effect, just the straight color chrome, that enhances your reds, greens, and yellows. And there's nothing to stop you using both of them together. And you can use them in a weak version or a strong version. Have an experiment before Christmas Day. But in the Color Chrome Effects Blue, you'll notice the sky is enriched, and it will even enrich water and make water look bluer. And if you want to get a little bit outrageous, of course, there's the advanced filters. So you've got things like the toy camera and a miniature mode. And if you want to really put some crazy colors, there's the pop color or even the dynamic color options. And as I said, if you're at a Christmas party, get everyone together, shoot that picture once a year. You'll be surprised. I've probably got about 20 of these sorts of pictures now, and it's great to see family groups and friends changing over the year. The first ones I've got, there's hardly anyone in them. It's just a few people, and now we've got this huge family group. It's well worthwhile doing, and it's great. And when you've shot the picture, make sure you print it on quality Fuji paper, of course. So these are suggestions. There are many ways to record those special moments, and there are plenty of Fujifilm cameras with which to do it, as you can see from our 2020 range. But you know what? Whichever Fujifilm camera you use, in fact, whatever camera you use, just make sure you do actually use it. And from me, I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a happy, safe and prosperous New Year. And I guess I'd better hand you back to Neil now, who's going to read out to the Paramount prize winner of the XS10. Neil.
Yes, indeed. But before I forget to do that, let's, someone mentioned in the chat a red focus box. They find it hard to see the light gray one sometimes. So some of our recent cameras, so X100V, XT4, XS10, does the X Pro 3 have the low contrast mode as well?
Yeah, I think most of the cameras do now.
Yeah.
Low light to function. So if you're, it's great if you're actually doing astrophotography.
Yeah, in fact, I set my camera to it recently when I was doing some astro, and I just left it set to that. So, but that's my XS10, which I'm filming on right now. So I've just set my X100V to that mode. So I'll just show you what it looks like. That's what it looks like, little red focus box. All the other icons go red. So maybe that would be kind of cool to mix it up. Not sure what the researchers have going on there, but I will show you where to access that. So you go into your setup menu. This is extremely difficult for me, by the way. You go into your setup menu. You go to your screen setup, and you go down. So we go on page 3. We have information contrast adjust. So I've got it set to dark, and standard is there. We've got low contrast, it's a bit darker, but the dark ambient lighting option is right there. And that's a very cool option to make it a lot easier on the eyes.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. It's a good one. I didn't know that was there, so that's great.
I was asked this about a few people over the years, and then I guess that question's gone through to Fujifilm through many channels because we came up with the 100V, and there it was. It was great. Now, let's get on to announce the winner and not delay that any further. So back over here. Okay, so the first place prize. Wait 1 moment. Got something special ready. Okay. Yeah, Will knows what this is.
Effect.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The first place prize goes to. Click. Anthony Stonehouse.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Anthony. Well done. Well done.
What are you pausing for, Neil? What's happening? It's totally not happening, Neil. Come on. I can't hear it at all.
What do you want?
He was trying to get some cheering and clapping going through a phone, but it was a complete failure. Do not let this detract from this amazing image. This is absolutely gorgeous.
Well done, Anthony. I love how the image is split sort of half with the dark Christmas tree in the foreground and the child in the light, in the sunlight, on the left-hand side, opening the presents. That's wonderful. And now Anthony has won an XS10 and XC 15 to 45 millimeter kit. Congrats, Anthony. That's quite a nice upgrade.
Yeah, that really is a nice upgrade.
Yeah, it really is. So Anthony wrote about this shot that this was taken at the end of 2018 on Christmas morning in Madrid, Spain. I love how the morning light coming through the window lit up her face. at the same time as she opened her first presents. It was taken with the Fujifilm XF 16mm 1.4 lens and an X-T20. It was also the last time his son saw his cousins in Spain in person. They were due to go this year, but unfortunately had to cancel due to obvious reasons. So hopefully you can help them getting hooked up over Zoom or something like that to catch up over the holiday season.
Maybe
well
you
done,
could,
Anthony.
yeah, maybe you could use X Webcam Studio to have a really nice image while you do your Zoom.
Yes, and that means they can buy a Fujifilm camera over there, like the XT200, nice entry-level camera with the webcam option.
For sure. I love this image. It's so cool. I love the lines from the Christmas tree leading over to her expression, which is just absolutely gorgeous. The light's really nice. I never associate Christmas with black and white. Christmas to me is very colorful usually. Lots of reds, lots of greens. But this image being in black and white just accentuates her expression, which is just gorgeous.
Yep. It's an awesome picture. It's so colorful for a black and white picture.
Yeah, that's it.
That's so true.
Expressions speak so loudly.
Thanks so much, Anthony, and everyone. That was really fun handling that competition and going through all the entries. So before we wrap this up, we have one last quick thing I'd like to ask you guys. So Will and Warwick, something that all three of us are a little bit different about are shooting in RAW or JPEG. So what's your preference, Will?
I'm a huge RAW advocate. I know most of our products are very heavily geared towards our amazing JPEGs, and they are incredible because of our film simulations that Warwick went through a little bit earlier. I personally use our JPEGs if I'm not working. So if I'm taking something for, purposes like maybe Christmas would be a great example, considering we're prepared for the day. But yeah, if I was going around to a Christmas party or something like that, JPEGs would probably be what I'd shoot. But 90% of the time, I'm shooting to deliver to a client. So that sort of stuff, I want the lenience of being able to make some mistakes or being able to bring up detail in shadows or reduce information in highlights or add information in highlights. Depending on what I'm doing, I really love the functionality of having RAW. And there's not one way to do it. You do have the option to do RAW plus JPEG, but I'd prefer to keep more card space if possible. So I usually just keep it in RAW. I know I'm going to get it from Warwick about this because he's a very staunch JPEG advocate. So we'll go to that. Warwick, what do you think?
Well, if you cast your mind back a few years ago, we did a national tour for the release of the 50S, the GFX 50S. And you did in the studio and I did out of the studio.
Yeah, very different.
And I thought it worked really well. Not only, of course, do our GFXs find themselves, I believe, the only medium format cameras that shoot fully finished JPEGs, but we were surprised at just how many people actually appreciated having that feature, the JPEG feature, on a high-end camera like that. So I think most people do use JPEGs. Having said that, I also know that when I'm using the GFX 100, detail is a bit like a drug, and I find myself shooting. Oh, now I'll have to get rid of Will after he hears this. I find myself shooting more RAW when I use the GFX 100 because of the ridiculous amount of detail that you can pull out of it. So,
yeah. Obviously with that 100 as well, you get TIFF, which is just further to that, which is just even more information if you have abundant SD cards, right, Was?
Yeah. Well, coming from the computer industry, I've got a lot of access to memory and cards and drives and things like that. But once you've experienced that GFX 100 resolution, and I'm playing around with the pixel shift at the moment, the results are staggering. And I did that shot where I actually shot a photo of a cruise ship and a lady standing in front of it and another boat off to the side. And I cropped it into 3 separate pictures and then showed the 3 pictures separately and zoomed into each separate image. And, you would just think you were just zooming in a normal high-res shot. But then I enjoyed confessing that, in fact, it was just one picture. So that was a picture shot with the GFX 100 and processed in Capture One, and it was a RAW file. So yes, there are things you can do with that, But for the main part, I love just to get out there and just shoot natural, if you like, just point, shoot, and print. And the Fujifilm cameras really do allow that. And I guess because I started with film, you had to get it right to start with. And I think that we give you that opportunity with our cameras. Our JPEGs are fantastic. The control that you have to create the JPEGs are there. And Fujifilm has spent a lot of time allowing people to be able to develop that picture in camera. And XS10, even more so. Now XS10, even in the automatic mode, will record RAW files and JPEGs, which that's a first for our cameras. Normally when you're in full auto on the more non-pro cameras, you only get the choice of JPEG. But on this particular one, it'll do both. So my wife's really happy. I can sneak the camera into RAW mode and fix her pictures up, and I can shoot the other pictures I want, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, I find personally a lot of people have really different needs. So everyone has a different need for what they're doing it for. I was actually at a printer out in Mascot today, High Res Digital, and they're looking at the GFX 100 line because they want to use this new for art reproduction for the purposes of that, because we now have the 400 megapixel stitch straight inside camera, or not inside camera.
Don't forget true color. That's it. It's because it's shooting 16 images to create a 400 megapixel shot. And so you're actually, for each picture, it's actually shooting 4 pictures to give you true color and not interpolated color. So it's quite an advance. It's not just in the resolution. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I really do. It's really good. It's such a cool new feature.
Yeah. And you can flash with it too.
That's true. It's crazy. Yeah, thanks guys. And for me, I'm quite happy with the JPEGs. I have a few little profiles I like to use, but I do like the option to have even more flexibility. So I shoot RAW plus JPEG all the time, but gosh, 95% of the time I'm just using the JPEGs because I'm so happy with what I'm getting out of the camera and it's just ready to go. So if I do want to play around with an image and get a different result or really push something a bit more creatively, then I've got the RAWs there and I can have my fun. But I try to spend less time editing, more time shooting photos and sharing them, because that's what I personally find most rewarding in the process of photography. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks so much for everyone who entered the competition. Congratulations so much to those of you we selected as the winners of the competition, and we'll be getting those cameras out to you real soon. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a happy and safe Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Good evening. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.